AI is everywhere right now, right? It's used for writing emails, creating ads, even coming up with business ideas. But here's the thing, if you're relying on AI for your marketing, you're setting yourself up to fail. Why? Because AI can't do the one thing that actually makes your marketing work. Stick around and I'll show you what to do instead. Let's start talking about what AI is and how it works. Generative AI basically is trained on massive swaths of the internet. It recognizes patterns and it functions as a sort of autocomplete, adding one letter and one word at a time to produce some text or creating images based on pattern recognition. Generative AI does not actually understand one iota of information, right? It's only recognizing patterns. Now, that being said, it can draw inferences, and those inferences are getting better over time. So we shouldn't minimize that either. But AI does have serious limitations. It has no real connection with people, and it doesn't come directly from you, which means that often the content you create with AI lacks empathy. It lacks true connection, especially when you consider that everyone's using the same tools, right? This can lead to a lack of innovation. Like if you're going to AI as sort of your slot machine, you're putting in a coin or a token, since AI uses tokens, and it's giving you a deliverable, a result, right? It's giving you a text. Then that's fine, but you didn't come up with the idea, you just threw in a prompt, right? What your audience wants is you. So I'm going to show you a slightly different way to use AI in order to be effective. We also know that when AI is used to produce a deliverable, just with a simple set of instructions, for example, write me an essay on topic XYZ, we found that people tend to turn off their mind to some extent. They tend to lack critical thinking. And so a recent MIT study, for example, showed that people who use ChatGPT to produce essays and who do not put critical thinking into it tend to sort of turn off their brains or use it very minimally compared to when they create from scratch. So if you want to create word salads, then use lots of AI. If you want to create what everyone else is creating, then use AI. If you want weird stuff, AI is great. And by the way, that's what makes it so powerful for brainstorming. So I'm not against AI, but we have to be careful. So let's take the example, for instance, of LinkedIn comments. You can always tell when someone wrote their LinkedIn comments with AI, right? It's always got like 3 emojis. It starts with some kudos and then like a small question. And it's so formulaic, you can tell that AI was used. It's pretty obvious, and that does not build real trust. It doesn't build real engagement either. It just becomes very generic. What I suggest instead is that we start to think about using our brains first. So Einstein had this great quote, which is, and I'm paraphrasing here, imagination is more important than information. I happen to believe that in the age of AI, we should be using our brains extensively, and we should be flexing our creativity muscle more than ever before, so that we are asking the right questions to begin with, which is often where we have a stumbling block with AI. So we're asking the right questions to begin with, and we're also coming up with our own answers, and then we can go to AI to enhance what we came up with. So my rule of thumb that I often find myself mentioning to coaching clients is use UGPT before ChatGPT. In other words, go to your own source code, if you will. Go to your own AI, go to your alignment and integrity, go within yourself. Search within yourself for the answers and solutions. And then AI can be really, really good at refining, at tweaking in various ways. But essentially, I really suggest that you consult yourself first. And to do this, you need some kind of a mechanism, right? So in terms of coming up with good business ideas, a couple of mechanisms are bouncing ideas back and forth with a business coach who's going to ask you the right questions. And also, one that I find really helpful is journaling. I personally am huge on journaling. I have a whole bunch of journals in my house all over the place, even on my desk right now. I could probably show you 3, 4 journals. I'll actually do this on the video. I had not planned on it, but what the heck, right? Here are a couple of journals that I have just sitting on my desk. This one is journaling for everyday stuff. This one is more for my long-term vision and strategies. And I've got one more, which is from a business program that I'm enrolled in. So I've got multiple journals literally sitting on my desk to give me inspiration and to jot down ideas. And I set time aside every day to journal. And what I do during that time is I ask questions and I let the answers bubble up from a deep place of silence and solitude. And I find that is really where I come up with my best ideas and many of my most successful business ideas. So programs that have sold out, workshops that have been a hit. I came up with a lot of those ideas from journaling, if not all of them. But AI can be really good for things that we tend to fall short on. So let me show you 3 things that you can use AI for very, very effectively. The first one is research. So I call this the 3 Rs: research, rounding out, and refinement. So AI is great for aggregating information in order to back up your ideas. You can say, hey, find some interesting books that talk about this topic and some quotes. Give me some mental models and frameworks that would help to support this concept that I would like to bring forward in whatever, my next workshop, my next offer for my clients, right? So research is really great, and you can use ChatGPT, but I personally use perplexity.ai for this because Perplexity is designed for fact-based research as opposed to creating human-like content, which is what ChatGPT does. So AI is really great for research and can save a ton of time compared to entering something into Google and then just bouncing around the web and hoping you find what you look for. The second R in the 3 Rs of AI are rounding out. So if I come up with an outline, for example, for this YouTube video, I literally journaled this morning about what I wanted to say, what I had in my heart, what I wanted to share. I wrote out an outline, but then I came to AI and I said, hey, here's my outline. What do you think? Is there anything maybe missing here? Are there any interesting things that I could cite when I'm talking about this topic? What information could I use to round this out with? So I'm asking very, very strategic questions to optimize my outline. And I do the same thing with everything from sales pages to my LinkedIn headline. I first consult me GPT or Joe GPT, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm rounding out those ideas with AI. And the final R in the 3 Rs that I teach for AI are refinement. And the best way to refine content, I find, is to have it ask you questions. You can say, hey, what information do you need to help me to hash out an ideal LinkedIn headline based on my current goals? And then I can give the goals to AI, and then it's going to ask me a series of questions. And I always say, ask me one question at a time, right? So that way it just doesn't give me a pile of questions. That would be overwhelming. It's more of an interview style. So the refinement stage is one where you can have AI interview you in a agentic conversation, for example, with Claude or with ChatGPT or with Gemini. But I personally prefer ChatGPT and Claude. And this is really, really powerful. So you can take any kind of marketing stuff you're working on. You can also take your business ideas and say, hey, I have this business goal. I want to double my business and I'm working in sector XYZ. Ask me a series of questions that will help me to find the right solution or help me to find what need I can currently fill. So this is where you can be very effective with AI. I also want to come back to non-AI strategies. So AI can be really helpful, but AI is not a cure-all, and I don't think it's a replacement for using your own imagination, and it's not a cure-all for running your business, right? So here are a couple of really simple non-AI solutions. This is one that comes to us from copywriter and salesperson extraordinaire Frank Kern. One of his tenets is simply to make more offers. We don't make enough offers typically. And in many cases, we can greatly improve our revenue, if not double our revenue, just by making more offers to aligned people who may be interested in those offers. It sounds so simple and so duh, but the question is, are you doing it? So if you have an email list, make sure that you're hitting them up and making them an offer this week, right? Don't wait until things are perfect. Don't wait until things are 100% ready. You can make an offer now and sell something down the road. And another simple tenet that you can use, and this is also from Frank Kern, who is frankly a genius, which is to provide value first. And when I say value, I don't mean that every single day you should spend 2 hours giving away free tips, because that will burn you out like crazy. But providing value doesn't have to be in the sense that you're giving away tips. You can provide value in the sense of getting people to see things in a new light. You can provide value in helping people to feel seen and heard with their challenges. There are many ways you can provide value to people. And when you provide value first, reciprocity will kick in and your clients will tend to hire you more, regardless of what service or product you are providing. I want to mention too, a third very important tenet for successful marketing, and that has nothing to do with AI, but you can use AI to this end, and that is simply running the tapes. So what do I mean by run the tapes? Michael Jordan was extraordinarily successful because he would sit down and examine his performances with his coach. And so he talks about this in his biography. Like when everyone else was going out to celebrate after a game, he would be going home and watching the tape of the game and seeing what he could improve next time. That is heavy duty. And today, if you're in the Olympics or you're a serious athlete, that is taken for granted. That is like the baseline is to run the tapes and examine your performance. But this wasn't always the case, right? 100 years ago, this was not the norm. So it's the same thing in marketing. A lot of people are still throwing spaghetti at the wall when all they would need to do to greatly progress is not to jump on AI and just say, build my marketing campaign. What they really need to be doing is taking imperfect action and then examining what is working and what is not working, and then doing more of what works. I know this sounds super duh. It sounds super simple, but very few business owners actually do this. And if you do this, you'll find that you will start to improve in no time flat. So I want to sum up by saying that AI is not useless, but it tends to be really good at certain things. We should make ourselves and our brand the basis of our business. The foundation is our own imagination, our own good energy and good vibes. And we should search inside ourselves for solutions. Then we can use AI for what it's really good at: research, rounding out your ideas, and refining your ideas. This is what will take you further over time. So the really important thing in marketing is to take imperfect action and then run those tapes, examine what's working, do more of what's working, do less of what's not working. You can also use AI, for example, by saying, hey, I did this LinkedIn post that really took off. It got 20,000, 30,000 views. Examine why do you think it did well and what I could do better with my next post. So you can also use AI in this sense to critically examine your performance. So there are interconnections between these ideas. If you want many more ways that you can improve your marketing and sales using your own good energy and building trust with clients, I highly recommend that you grab my book, AI Resilient. It's a 5-time international #1 bestseller on Amazon, and I've got the link in the comments. With that, I wish you a beautiful day.